Hello everyone and welcome back to the Quality Analyst. If you are learning software testing, especially manual testing, then today's topic is one of the most important concepts you must clearly understand, not just for the interviews, but also for the real project work. Today we are going to discuss defect severity versus defect priority. Now let me be very honest with you. Almost every beginner tester can define severity and priority, but when I ask them to explain this with the real project examples, that is where the confusion starts. So in today's session, I'm going to explain this topic very slowly, step by step, exactly the way it works in real IT projects. So after this video, you will never confuse severity and priority again. You will be able to explain it confidently in interviews. You will understand who decides what in a project. So please watch this video patiently till the end. So before defining anything, let us understand why we even need severity and priority. In a real software project, hundreds of defects are logged. Developers cannot fix everything at once. Releases have deadlines. Okay, so now imagine the situation. A tester reports a spelling mistake on a home page and application crash on payment. So these two issues. One is a spelling mistake on a home page. Second is application crash on a payment. Should both be treated equally? Obviously not, right? So that is why we classify defects based on how badly the system is affected, that is severity, how urgently it needs to be fixed, that is priority. So this classification helps developers know what to fix first. Managers decide release readiness. Business avoids losses. So based on this classification, developers know what to fix first, managers decide release readiness, and business avoid losses. So severity and priority exist to bring order and clarity. So now let's focus on the first term, that is defect severity. So defect severity refers to the level of impact a defect has on the application. So in a very simple language, severity tells us how serious the defect is. So when a tester assigns severity, the tester is asking, is the application crashing? Is a major feature not working? Is data getting lost? Or is it just a small UI issue? So remember this clearly. Severity is about damage to the system. Severity is technical, based on a functionality, based on expected versus actual behavior. And in most organizations, severity is decided by the tester. Now let's understand the severity levels, okay, one by one. So first is critical severity. So this is the highest severity. So critical severity means application is completely unusable. The core business functionality is broken. So for example, application crashes immediately after launch. Second is payment deducted but order not created, or user cannot log in at all. So in simple words, business cannot operate. So that is coming under critical severity. The second type is high severity. So the high severity means major functionality is broken. So application still opens but important features fail. So for example, checkout button not working. You have added some products in the cart and then trying to check out, but the checkout button is not working. Search functionality is not broken. User cannot add items to the cart. Okay, so these are some of the examples of high severity. The third is medium severity. So medium severity defects do not block the application, and they have some workarounds. So for example, password reset email delayed, incorrect validation message, or calculation mismatch in the reports. Okay, so this comes under medium severity. And the last is low severity. So low severity defects are some cosmetic issues, UI related issues, no functional impact. Okay, so examples are like there are some spelling mistakes on the page, alignment issue, or the color mismatch. So severity is purely about the technical impact. Okay, so let me explain severity with a real-time project example. Okay, so suppose you are testing on online banking application. Scenario 1, user logged in, tries to transfer money and application crashes. This is critical severity because money transfer is a core functionality, user trust is affected, and the business risk is very high. There is another, let's check scenario 2. The button color is slightly different. So again, if the button color is different, there won't be any business impact. So that is nothing but a low severity. And why? Because functionality is working, no data loss, no business impact, just a color difference. So again, that will not cause any business impact. So severity answers only one question: how badly is the system affected? Okay. So now let's move to the second term, that is defect priority. So the defect priority refers to how urgently a defect needs to be fixed. So in simple language, priority tells us how fast the defect should be resolved. So again, priority is business driven, time sensitive, and release dependent. So unlike severity, priority is usually decided by product owner, business analyst, and the project manager. So because they understand customer expectations, market deadlines, and a business impact. So remember, priority is about urgency and not damage. So let us now understand the priority levels. So again, we have three priority levels: high priority, medium priority, and low priority. So high priority defects must be fixed immediately, and they can block a release. So for example, login not working in production, payment failure during sale. Okay, so this comes under high priority. Then medium priority defects important but not release blocking. Okay, so for example, slow loading report, delayed notification. So even though even these reports are slow, but they are still loading, so that comes under medium priority. And the low priority defects can wait for future releases. So for example, UI enhancement, minor usability improvements. So priority is all about the business urgency. So now let's talk about the most confusing scenario: low severity but high priority. So the defect can be low severity but high priority. So for example, typo on homepage banner. So severity is low because there is no functionality broken. Priority is high. Homepage is customer facing. Okay, so that's why it is low severity and high priority. So why high priority? Brand image, marketing campaigns, and customer trust. Okay, so this scenario is very commonly asked in interviews. Always remember, severity is not equal to priority. Okay, so let us talk about the comparison between severity and priority. So severity, it impacts on a system and it is technical and it is assigned by the tester. But the priority, urgency of fix, business driven, assigned by the management. Okay, so tester can still provide priority, but ultimately it is more of dependent on management. So management can change the priority anytime. Okay, so severity asks how bad is the defect, priority asks how soon it should be fixed. So now let me give you some interready combinations. So the first is high severity, high priority. Okay, so users cannot log in. So the core functionality is blocked, business impact is very critical, and it must be fixed immediately. That's why it is having high severity and low priority, the login failure. Okay. Second example is again high severity, high priority, that is payment gateway is down. So again, no transaction possible, which is impacting direct revenue loss, and that's why urgent fix is required. The third example is high severity and low priority. So the feature broken, but feature rarely used. So the functionality is broken, but very few users are affected. That's why it can be scheduled later for fix. So that's why the priority is low, but as the functionality is broken, the severity is high. Okay. The next example is low severity, high priority. So logo missing on home page. So functionality works, So there is no business impact because of logo is missing, but the brand image is definitely impacted. Hence, it must be fixed very quickly. That's why it is having low severity and high priority. The next example is low severity, high priority. That is typo in legal disclaimer. Okay, so again, a small issue but legal compliance risk. So that's why it needs immediate action. Okay, so that's why it is having low severity, high priority. The next is low severity and low priority. So alignment issue on the internal page. So again, minor UI issue on the non-critical page. So fix can be deferred. That's why it is low severity and low priority. Okay, so these are the examples which are very important. So if you explain this, interviews know you have a real project understanding. Okay, so these are some of the common interview combinations which we should be knowing of. Okay, so as a tester, you must analyze the impact correctly, assign the correct severity, explain the business impact clearly, and never randomly select severity or priority. Okay, so that always must be analyzed correctly, and then only we should be providing severity and priority to the particular defect. So this is our responsibility as a tester. So and with that, we come to the end of the today's session. So if this explanation helped you clearly understand defect severity versus priority, make sure to like this video, share it with your testing friends, and subscribe to the Quality Analyst. On this channel, we focus on real-time testing concepts explained in a simple way possible. Until next time, happy learning, keep growing.